the United Nations General Assembly Hall witnessed a profound and silent act of protest. Netanyahu at the iconic green marble podium. A coordinated, widespread exodus began. The scene was striking. Scores of seats were suddenly vacant. Not a random scattering, a deliberate, unified walkout. Representatives from Arab nations, representatives from Muslim nations, delegates from several African countries and a few European countries. Delegates left, turning their backs in a powerful visual rebuke. Israeli officials tallied 77 delegations absent or exiting, included immediate neighbors, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, as well as Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Iran. The General Assembly was transformed into a theater of dissent. A world leader addressing a nearly deserted chamber was broadcast globally. At the heart of the international uproar was a specific and highly provocative element of Prime Minister Netanyahu's presentation. During his speech, he unveiled a map depicting what critics termed a vision for a greater Israel. The map controversially included territories, West Bank, Gaza, Golan Heights, considered occupied under international law. For many nations, this was not merely a cartographic suggestion, but a declaration of intent. It was seen as a visual rejection of the two-state solution, envisioning an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel, the long-standing framework for peace. The concept of Greater Israel is deeply contentious, rooted in nationalist and religious ideologies that claim a biblical right to lands beyond current borders. Its presentation on the UN stage by a sitting prime minister was perceived as shocking and aggressive, a shift from ambiguity to clear territorial ambition. For Palestinians, it denied national aspirations and self-determination. For neighboring Arab states, it threatened stability and sovereignty. Critics argued it defied UN resolutions tied to 1967. The response from the Arab and Islamic world was swift, unified, and unequivocal. They issued a joint statement condemning the remarks in the strongest terms, a detailed legal and political denunciation citing international law and the foundations of stable international relations. They framed the speech as a threat to the international system. The statement argued the Greater Israel vision, as presented at the UN, explicitly rejects the UN Charter, prohibiting acquisition of territory by war. By claiming sovereignty over occupied lands, the legal framework is undermined. A challenge to the post-war consensus on peace and security, breadth mattered as much as the words. It brought together rivals and allies across the Middle East, North Africa, and Asia. The Arab League lent institutional weight, amplifying the message from Washington to Moscow to Beijing. The goal? Pressure key powers to take a firm stand. They framed it in international law and global stability. Taking the diplomatic offensive further, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, 57 Muslim-majority countries, convened in Jeddah to formulate a drastic response. Foreign ministers issued a stunning call, proposing a formal review of Israel's UN membership. They argued persistent violations might render membership incompatible with founding conditions, grounded in legal arguments and coordination. They stressed efforts toward potential suspension under the Charter. A nation defying core tenets cannot remain in good standing, they said. Their case cited occupied territories and self-determination rights. Pressure mounted on the Security Council, where the U.S. has historically used its veto. A shift from reactive criticism to proactive measures, compelling nations to take a stance and raising political costs. The OIC, nearly a third of UN membership, leveraged collective influence. Members signaled readiness to use all diplomatic tools. The wave of official condemnations was amplified by powerful statements from key regional leaders. Among the most forceful was Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Speaking at an OIC meeting in Istanbul, he identified Netanyahu as the biggest obstacle to regional peace. He accused Israel of sabotaging diplomacy with attacks on Iran, coinciding with a new round of nuclear talks with the United States. Erdogan framed Netanyahu as an agent of instability. He urged nations with influence over Israel not to heed its poison. At an emergency Arab-Islamic summit, Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim warned of Netanyahu's ambitions, calling the dream of an Israeli sphere of influence a dangerous illusion. His words captured deep anxiety among Arab leaders. Resolve hardened around collective action. These high-profile statements shaped the international narrative, turning a technical dispute into a passionate political cause. While outrage was widespread across the Muslim world, the consensus was not monolithic. In striking contrast, Indonesia offered a different tone. Despite no formal ties with Israel, the president struck a conciliatory note at the UN. He said the world must respect Israel's right to security, and concluded with the benediction, Shalom. It underscored complex geopolitics, national interest, and economics. Domestic politics can drive divergent policies among similar nations. Still, the Arab Islamic bloc presented a largely united front. Unity is crucial as Israel and allies probe for cracks. Indonesia's stance suggests opposition is not universal. Maintaining unity among dozens of sovereign states is the challenge. Netanyahu's UN speech pushed the region to a precarious juncture. The mass walkout and unified condemnations escalated pressure. Calls to review UN membership and emergency summits raise stakes. A widening chasm separates Israel and much of the international community. The coming months will test whether proposed measures can be sustained.